This man is Brian Dettmer, a famous contemporary artist. In terms of his background, he was born in Naperville, Illinois in 1974, and he mentions in many of his interviews that he was always interested in art. And after a progression of different events in his life and his involvement in different art-related jobs, he reached his current success at a comparatively young age. Dettmer, often referred to as the book surgeon, is mainly well known for his alterations of old and outdated books, but he is also known for redesigns of maps, record albums, and cassette tapes. He changes these old media pieces, many of which are not sought out after with the rise of newer technologies, into intricate and beautiful sculptures. Through different interviews and his own artist statement, he discusses that the basis of his work stems from the idea of giving outdated media a new role and interpretation. The new technologies, in a way, freed books from their main purpose, relaying information. With his creative process, he hopes to break open new possibilities for books as a work of art. In terms of the process behind his work with books, he states that he always starts the project by first sealing the book completely with varnish while the individual pages still remain independent. By sealing the book, although the book becomes useless, the book also, in a way, becomes preserved. Dettmer further describes the sealed form of the book as an enclosed vessel full of unearthed potential. Although many of his earlier works involved the use of one book, now he frequently folds, bends, rolls, and stacks many books before applying the varnish to create a new structure for his sculptures. By doing this, while it adds variation to his artwork, it's interesting to note that the curves formed by the book seem to allude to the flexibility of newer technologies. The tools Dettmer uses for his projects, tweezers, knives, scalpels, and other surgical tools, is one of the main reasons that he is referred to as the book surgeon. In this picture, you can see a stack of books taped together, or the first step of his artistic process, and you can also see the different types of tools he uses for each of his sculptures. Dettmer always notes that although it takes time, he works to carve page by page, cutting around words and images that interest him. The work happens in the moment, as nothing is read ahead, planned, implanted, or relocated. He only carves material out of the books. The period of this art-making process can take anywhere from 2 to 5 days or 2 to 5 months. As mentioned previously, Dettmer chooses to work with outdated books. For example, with this book about eye surgery from the 1950s, I couldn't even find the original copy, cover, or even a new copy of the book. With the growth of technology, there was no need to continue publication of this book, as it could be published online and as it contained outdated information. With the bookmaking process discussed earlier, Dettmer uses the previous book to create a work of art. The only clearly visible text refers to the set of instruments used for surgery. Going along with the text, we can see images and diagrams of different instruments and methods of eye surgery from the original book, which creates a beautiful recreation of the book. Along with medical books, Dettmer also enjoys working with encyclopedias, as these series of books become outdated rather quickly with the discovery of new information over time, which could have contributed to Britannica's decision to stop the printing of physical versions of the encyclopedia. An example of the Britannica series is shown in the picture. As shown in one of the processes of Dettmer's art, he likes to structure many books together to create a new artistic effect. With an older edition of the Britannica Encyclopedia, he formed a wheel-shaped sculpture and carved around some of the pictures from the pages, and in effect, it seemed to reveal a summary of the wide variety of concepts that the world knew during that respective time period. More and more people are interested in the idea of books as a work of art, and as a result, Dettmer has been widely acclaimed. Many reproductions of his work have been completed, and he was featured in many different locations, including the Smithsonian Museum of Art and Design, Virginia Museum of Contemporary Art, the Wellcome Collection, the Bellevue Arts Museum, the Kohler Arts Center, the Illinois State Museum, CBS Evening News, the New York Times, the Los Angeles Times, the Guardian, the Telegraph, and more. In other words, the art that Dettmer chisels from the books through his artistic process is amazing. As a result, it's always interesting to examine different pieces of his work. For this piece, Dettmer attached different books together. There's not a way to know what all the books were because they weren't revealed, but even if they were, it shouldn't matter because we should look at the process in which Dettmer would have created this piece of work and the message that he's trying to display, which is actually shown quite explicitly. Although the piece of work looks quite simple from afar, when looked closely at, we can see that each book has been curved and attached. If you look closely at the carved out sections of the work, you can notice words that relate to fear, like the words pitch dark or suppose, which goes along with the message of the artwork. This piece actually does not look like a book at first glance. Along with his normal process in artistic creation, he seems to have rounded and polished the book very well. This extra step, as a result, creates a book that resembles wood, which could possibly point to the idea that books are carved out of trees. This piece only uses one book, and Dettmer seems to have initially sealed it in a way that books naturally spread open. With this piece, it's interesting to see how the various pieces seem to join together. The tunnels or pipes seem to connect different objects like the Bunsen burner to create a system that produces possibly the military preventive medicine which is referenced to in the title of the artwork. The Land and People, which is also the title of this artwork, is actually a series of books that examines literally the land and people of the world. Because of the process in which Dettmer carved the book with his surgical tools, we can see right away that this section of the book must have been about Asia, and it shows clear example images of items found in Asia. This piece of work is Dettmer's most recent artwork compared to the other examples. He actually stacked many different books on the topic of interiors, and starting from the top, he carved his way down, and the work as a whole displays a sense of complexity and abstractness involved in the subject of interior design. From the examples, it really is natural to assume that this artist carves books to create artwork that looks like a collage. However, it's important to note that Dettmer's work is not a collage. Through a rather complicated process, he takes out ideas or images to create beautiful pieces of work that offer a new interpretation of once outdated books.